mess up.
Yeah,
So yeah, apologies. How you
all
doing?
good.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise. It's been a big year for you
A
since we
year?
last spoke.
Yeah, yeah, it has.
So, but last time we spoke, you were just dropping the album. You
Yeah,
had a couple of tours coming up. So this was late 2022. We last spoke. You
23.
continue 20. What year are we now? 24. Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. Actually, yeah, yeah,
about a year ago
uh,
now. Yeah.
yeah. And I keep thinking it's 2025 because the reason why is because I've got notes here because you're coming over in February. So I keep seeing
Yes, in
25.
25. Yeah, yeah.
So, but I mean, it's been a huge year for you. I mean, the album dropped. You've just been constantly fucking touring. You've moved house, which we just figured out as well. So, I mean, how you feeling, man? How have you been?
Good and positive, but um, I'm spinning a lot of plates, and it can be like sort of taxing and stressful. But not in a bad way. Nothing's like burning me out. But I've been doing my own like a drum sample library thing on the side of the band stuff, and that's taken up so much time. But now that it's
So,
out, I was sort of thinking, oh, cool, it's out and it's done. But once it's out, now I'm just feel like I've got to stay on top of content and making content constantly. But yeah, I brought it all on myself, and I can't complain. So, but yeah, very busy, and moving house is stressful, but just need to get some time set aside to keep writing because we've
yeah.
done a good amount of writing so far, but um want to get like finished as soon as possible writing the next record.
You've literally just wiped out three of my questions. Thanks, man.
I mean, I can go in more detail in any of them if you want, but yeah,
No, oh, good. Yeah, because I was actually going to ask about the plugin thing, and obviously I was going to ask about the whether you guys were writing. But what we will do, we'll obviously deal with the main reason we're talking, which is you coming over to Australia in February.
yeah, hmm
Um, and you're bringing over Angel Maker, uh,
yeah.
which I mean they're like a deathcore band, so a little bit different from your style. So how did that come about?
Yeah. I think it's kind of ideal to put together packages where all the bands don't sound the same and offer a bit of variety for the audience, but also just to like, when you're trying to, you know, sell tickets and stuff, it's good to like try and attract fans from all over the place. So, yeah, I don't know. At the same time, there's not many bands that, to me, weirdly, that sit in with Sylosis because, as we probably spoke about this last time, like I kind of see Sylosis as like a metal band. So like, you know, Metallica, Pantera, Sepultura, Machine Head, Lamb of God, all that sort of stuff that we grew up listening to. And when I say weirdly, I just find it odd that there's not really many bands doing that. Like if you think about new bands that are just like straight ahead metal, it's like there's none. So yeah, it's might as well just try and find bands from different genres and mix things up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did actually speak about that last year because we spoke about the like the your influences and when you were trying to like record the album that the I think you said Scott Adkins, oh no, your manager came up to you and was like, you need to have something that kind of not so much anthemic, but kind of like the Black Album. I think
yeah,
you highlighted, which was something
for
that
sure.
the
Yeah,
crowd can lean onto. So I mean,
yeah,
having now then had the album for men on stage for 12 months or just less than 12 months, has that been the effect that you wanted?
yeah, for sure. I think the new stuff just goes down so much better because it's been written with that in mind. And I think even fans who, you know, whatever album a fan joins in and gets into a band from, that's usually just going to be their favorite album because that's the way it is for most people. And I think even those fans might like love our first or second album the most, might also agree that like as much as they might like those albums, the new stuff when it plays live is just way more intense, way more fun, and translate better because That's just how it was like intended to be, and it's written that way. And it's just playing live now is so much more fun because the new stuff just sits better in a live environment. And aside from that, I think I've come a long way as a frontman and vocalist. So like my confidence on stage is just better as well. So I feel like we're playing better than ever, and the new stuff, yeah, I just love playing it live.
It's fair enough. I mean, it's what you wrote it for, so that's fair enough.
Yeah,
Makes sense. I mean, the going through your touring schedule and what you've got coming up as well before you get to Australia, I noticed that like you're going to America shortly, and some of the venues that you're playing in the States, they're decent sized venues as well. Like they're pretty big. Are they the biggest venues you've done in America?
no. We've toured 3 times or 2.5 because we had a bus crash. We had to go home early on one of the tours. But the biggest one we did was with Lamb of God. So that
Oh,
was like sometimes it was arenas, but a lot of the time it was like 5,000 capacity. So that was the biggest. But yeah, the US tours with Fit for an Autopsy, and they've been doing really well everywhere, but in the States they've really grown. So yeah, just grateful to be able to get back out there because it's been over 10 years since we've been to the States as
really?
well as Australia. Yeah,
Yeah, well, we know that
I've
that
been
sound
with
wave.
Architects, but yeah,
It's insane, insane. Oh, so, I mean, you're obviously looking forward to that when that happens. Um,
yeah,
so the going on to the way you're going to have the tour set up because when you're in Australia, we spoke earlier. I mean, obviously it's going to be a long time since you've been here. You're only here for 6 days, 5 shows,
yeah, yeah,
right? So is it like land on the stage, thrash it, 6 days later, fuck off? Is you're actually going to get to
yeah.
spend any time here?
I wish. I don't know if we'll have much time there. I mean, I really hope when it comes, we haven't booked the flights yet, that we need to allow ourselves like at least a day to get past the jet lag. Um, which yeah is tough. But no, it's going to be pretty grueling. The thing with touring Australia is obviously you fly everywhere. Um, you don't really do buses or vans because it's so big. So it'll be a lot of play a show, go try and get some sleep, wake up early, go to the airport, and fly all your gear. So it's going to be tiring, but I love playing Australia. I think it's my favorite place to tour. Food, coffee, weather, people. And like as you probably know, it's probably like the closest to the UK in terms of like personalities and sense of humor and that sort of thing. So yeah, I love it over there. I just hate the flight over there or flights.
Yeah. I'm coming back to
Yeah,
the UK in November, and
yeah,
yeah, just no, just it's such a long way to go just to go to somewhere you left. It's like, oh fuck, back up to Manchester.
yeah,
It's like, oh no, do I have to? So I mean, you're mentioning about you've already started work as well on the next album. Guessing that's going
yeah.
to be with Scott again.
I don't know. No, we might mix it up this time. We don't know for certain. I actually had the idea. We'll see about like using various producers. Maybe just like do a bunch of songs with each one. Maybe only even for like a pre-production element. So in terms of the songwriting and arrangements, that kind of thing, and then we'll probably just record it with one person. But I'd like to get a lot of like outside perspectives this time. But hopefully Scott will be involved as well.
We've done him for a while, hasn't he? He's done the last. He's done most of your work, hasn't he? Or he's an engineer on the first couple of albums
Yeah,
and
so
then producer. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's sort of produced, but we didn't really let him, or I didn't really let him. I mean, he didn't really try and get into the songwriting and stuff much back then. But this time, the last record, I definitely like was like, come on, just be brutally honest, get him involved months ahead of time so he could give his opinion on the song structures and all that sort of stuff. And he made a big difference as well. So, um, yeah, potentially use him for some stuff again.
Well, the last album you that was recorded. Sorry, it wasn't recorded. A lot of it was written during the pandemic, is my belief, and so there was a kind of
Yeah,
a pervading sense of um, kind of how the world was treating each other at that point. So
yeah.
this new album, like when it comes out, probably in a year's time or whatever, what's the? Is there any sort of themes that you can share with us now, or am I not allowed to? Or you're not allowed to answer that?
Oh, it's not that I'm not allowed to, but there are some songs written, obviously, and lyrics. I'm trying to think. What's that song about? Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely not going to be. It's not going to be like a concept album. I think, yeah, like I never really know what a song's going to be about until yeah, I start sitting down and be like, right, I need some lyrics, and I just whatever comes to mind. But as much as like the pandemic and what was happening was a bit more volatile during the pandemic, um, a lot of world or social activities are still prevalent and still exist. So it'd probably be like some sort of continuation on, I guess, which is quite just a broad outlook at the world. But yeah, I guess I can't divulge much just because there aren't many lyrics at this point. It's mostly just songs and riffs.
Fair enough. Because I mean, I suppose, I mean, I'm not a lyricist. Obviously, you are. I mean, you'll take from things that you'll go out and see. I mean, the UK itself recently, I have to start
Sure.
watching news. The UK itself's just been chaos, like change of government, then the riots, and what's going on?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Basically, most of that was happening when we were on tour in Europe. We just got back from doing summer festivals, and I tried to change network provider that whole time, which was very stressful being away from my family without a working phone. So, admittedly, I was sort of just hearing bits and bobs from like the other guys,
Yeah,
and not really on my phone or the internet as much during that. But yeah, it seemed crazy. Um, I guess it's died down somewhat now, but yeah. I don't
yeah,
know what's
good
going
thing.
on.
It's just that, yeah, I'm the same as you. I only got little bits and bobs of it, but of course, when you do get bits and bobs, people don't tell you the full story. They just tell you the headline.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
bang, check
yeah,
this out. The clickbait element. You go, oh fuck, okay, all right, fair enough.
yes, yeah,
You mentioned about doing the drum plugin, so because that dropped, you did that back in was about 2 months ago that got released.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but what was
Uh,
the thought process behind doing the drum plugin? Like, are you trying to do like you can do the whole band sort of thing?
I mean, it started off mainly just for my own benefit. Like, I do a lot of mixing work for bands and that sort of thing, and I mix obviously the Sylosis stuff. So I wanted to just build up my own library of like drum samples, and then it turned into making this thing where I could make something that people could use and program drums and have my drum sounds. And yeah, I was just frustrated as someone that's really into production, just couldn't find anything out there that sounded good and just like mix ready and sounds like a finished drum sound to just make my life easier when I'm writing because I like stuff to sound good. The only reason I really got into production was because I wanted my demos to sound good. So when I presented my ideas to the rest of the band, it sounded like a finished record. And sometimes when you write stuff, especially if it's like really simple, sometimes you need like it to sound good to convey like, oh, it's gonna be cool. It's just if it's recorded poorly, it might just sound a bit boring. Like simple stuff like the Walk riff by Pantera. If you just demo it and it just sounds crap, people might just be like, I don't know. But when it's like all the elements are there and it sounds weighty and heavy, then you're like, all right, I can see the appeal of this. So that's sort of how I got into production, just wanting to try and make my demos sound good when showing them to the rest of the band. And at this point, I want my demos to sound good, so I feel like just more inspired when I'm writing. So what I'm hearing back as I write and demo stuff just sounds like a finished mix. So yeah, that's how it kind of started, and that's how it's ended up. Yeah. So Yeah, it's gone really well.
Cool. I suppose that, like you mentioned earlier about content now, that would be something I'd imagine, and you'll know better than I do, where like every, like an iPhone, every couple of months you'd have to update that with newer sounds. Is that right?
No, not necessarily for that. I mean, I can do updates like if people find bugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
But from here on out, it will just be creating like more like different drum libraries and that sort of thing, or maybe doing signature ones with artists and various other things. But yeah, just keeping content going just in terms of like doing a demo, showing how I've messed with the drum sounds to get them how to sound a certain way, and just keeping like constant engagement, I guess. Uh just to keep people
You
aware, I
mentioned
guess. Keep
you
plugging it.
mentioned earlier there's a question I wanted to ask you last year, and we spoke for a long time last year because I rewatched the video a few days ago. But and I'm going to ask the question again. You mentioned at the beginning about like metal, and uh,
Yeah.
and you're right actually. Like my favorite Sepultura album's Roots because that was the one I went in on, and then I built from there. Even though I know there's better albums, and so that's what we grew up with. You're out on the road now and you're traveling around the world. Is there anybody you think is metal that we should be listening to who we may not have heard of?
Um yeah, I guess just to confirm, just for anyone who isn't you for this, like who's is this just going to be audio or written or
No, this is just written.
this
Written,
interview?
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
So,
guess
so the,
well,
the, the
I
video's
mean
recorded.
metal with two metals, like metal quotes and then metal. But I just mean like that more sort of straight ahead middle
Mm.
lane metal, which always makes it sound like I'm saying it's, oh, it's just metal or like boring. But yeah, there aren't many bands. There's so many subgenres and there's so many like great death metal bands coming out, underground metal or like hardcore bands, and there's all sorts of blurred lines and genres, which is great. And there's tons of amazing bands. But yeah, as I said, just following on from that Machine Head, Pantera, mid '90s Sepultura vibe, there's not a lot of it. Um, been men are going past. My my favorite band that I've got into recently that are still a new band would be a band called Life Cycles from
Okay.
San Antonio, Texas, and they're sort of like a thrash band crossover, a bit of hardcore. So they're not necessarily like those bands, but you could definitely like put them on tour like Lamb of God or something, and there'd be a huge crossover in like the audience like enjoying that. So they're awesome. I mean, obviously, bands like Bleed from Within and Malevolence from the UK, they're all friends of ours, and we have all like similar influences. Like we all grew up listening to like Chimera and Lamb of God and that sort of thing. So there's definitely a kinship with those bands, even though we all do sound different as well. Like obviously, Sylosis is leaning more towards thrash.
Mhm.
Malevolence have a bit more of a hardcore thing. Bleed from Within, dare I say it, like maybe a bit more like modern or metalcore leaning than us. But we all, I think there's a kinship between those three bands for sure.
I haven't got much time, so I've only got 20 minutes. So I will ask you a real random question. Did you see what do you think of Gajira at the Olympics?
I didn't see the full performance. I don't think must have just seen like 30 seconds of it. Um, but yeah, loved it. I think it's awesome to get a metal band like playing to that many people. It's insane being on BBC. Yeah, ridiculous. Love it.
Wide, wasn't it? It was absolutely
Yeah,
sensational. And hopefully, I mean, now that they've gone and done that, hopefully that begins to have a whole bunch of other people go, yeah, we can actually go and do this, and he can put on a show because that's what you guys do, all of you. So,
yeah.
all right, well, I've only got like the 20 minutes, so I will let you go. I'll see you guys when you're here at the end of February.
Which city are you in?
I'm in Adelaide.
Oh, nice. Are you
Yeah,
familiar with Argo? I always go to have breakfast. I don't know if it's called like Argo on the Square. I don't know whereabouts you are in
oh,
Adelaide,
yes.
but
Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah,
time,
yeah.
yeah, the best place for breakfast. I love it. I always get like big smoothie bowls and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. There's one
Do
on the
you actually
parade
know the
as
place?
well. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll go on the square. Like every time I've been there with architects, we always land in Adelaide the day we arrive. We're all jet lagged. We get up early, so we go straight there for breakfast. And the last time I went in, I walked in and Sylosis came on, and I look at behind the bar, and some guy's just like so. Yeah, I love
yeah.
that place for many reasons. But yeah, all right. Well, yeah, I'll see you then.
I'll see you then. Thank you very much for your time, and best of luck with the rest of the tour.
Thank you so much. Yeah, take care, man. Good to speak to you again.
Thanks, Josh. Bye.